Alright guys, for today's video we got a little bit of a fun one here. We are going to try and break the game. Okay, and the way we're going to be doing that is by seeing how much grass we can pile up before we harvest. Anyways guys, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so the plan for this is we are going to kind of create a control area, and then we're going to plant some grass, and then we're going to try and harvest the grass as many times as we can and see basically what the limit is. How much grass can we put on the ground at one time, or basically how much can we do it before the tractor won't move, whatever comes first. So obviously the first thing we're going to need here is we're going to need a good mower. So we're going to need the big M. This is going to be the best way to do it, obviously. It's going to be the quickest. We're going to need a way to figure out how much is in the ground. So if we do that, we're probably just going to want a forage wagon. It's probably going to be the easiest way to pick it up. Could also do a baler. That gets a little complicated. I think a forage wagon, it'll be a little harder to pull through, but I think it'll be technically easier. So we are going to do that. We're going to get a forage wagon. I think this will, just for scientific reasons, it'll work a little better. We're going to need a tractor, obviously. Large tractor. We'll just snag the fence because it's fast. This will work just fine. Okay, and then I'm going to buy another tractor. And we're going to slap a windrow on the back of this thing, which we may or may not use. For the first harvest, we'll need it a little bit. You guys will see why. We will need a windrow a tad. Okay, so we're going to need a windrow. Get the big one here. Where's it at? I'd rather go fast. We're not going to go super wide. You'll see why in a minute. We're not going to go super wide with this thing. And then we're going to need a planter, which I think actually we'll just get the disc harrow because it can plant grass. That's probably going to be fastest and easiest. So we'll just get this thing. I believe it's this one. Seeder unit. We can plant grass with this and cultivate at the same time, which is what we need. So that's going to be our setup. Okay, we're going to use the field. It doesn't really matter which field we use. We'll just use this one over here. Will work just fine. So this is the field we're going to use for this experiment. We're going to keep it short and sweet for simplicity's sake. First thing I want to do here is get some of this equipment moved. But the setup is important because we do have to do this controlled, right? I got to make sure that when we calculate how much we're getting, we're doing it in a controlled environment so it's actually accurate. I apologize for the dog barking in the background. But yeah, so we need to get that windrow will come in a minute. Okay, so we need to fill this thing up with some seeds. Seeds, we'll just get a couple pallets, and one pallet should be 2 pallets. We'll just fill her up. Okay, and we don't want to fertilize. That's going to be important because otherwise, if we fertilize one time, we're going to have to fertilize every time, and we're trying to avoid that because that's just more work, and it's going to take longer to do the experiment. So we need to get this thing down to the lowest level of fertilization and minimize contamination. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to head in the settings here, and we're going to isolate as much as we can. Seasonal growth off, days per month 1 day, fixed visual doesn't matter. We'll put it at June just for longer daylight. Crop destruction off, obviously. All of this we're going to turn off just to try and what's the word? Isolate the variables as best we can. So that should be good. That should do the job. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plant some grass. Before we plant grass, I actually want to paint out some concrete so that we don't overlap. So that's going to be our first step here. We need to paint out a control area as best we can. Okay. So if I line that up, we don't want it to be too big. Back to here. Okay. So we're basically just going to do it one strip wide, I think. We want to be able to like mow down and back more or less and cover everything we need to. That's going to be, I think, ideal. So it's not super important necessarily how much we actually do as long as it's the same every time, right? So we need to just kind of make sure we have enough concrete laid out so that we don't accidentally cut grass we don't want to. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're making a controlled area. So grass can't plant in this concrete. We'll go a little overboard here because why not? Don't want to contaminate our experiment at all. Okay, and now this is going to be our little test area here. So planting seeds, good to good. Turn on disc harrow. So we'll plant the grass here, and then we can wait it out, and we will do one harvest first. Okay, we might actually do like 2 or 3 and then figure out how much we're actually getting from each harvest. And then basically what that'll do for us is it will tell us a number of how much you get from one harvest. And then at the end, if say there's 10 harvests, right? And I only got grass for 8 of them. If I divide the total number by the number we got in our first harvest, that'll tell how many harvests are still on the ground. So if it's deleting them, we're going to know. So if we do 20 harvests and only 4 went, we're only going to get 4 times the first number, this first harvest, which is kind of ideal. So that's the idea with that. So we're going to plant that in the ground. I got to make sure there's no fertilizer there, because if there's fertilizer, we're going to have to cut it a couple times and just let it grow, because fertilizer will screw up our results. So yeah, there's no yield bonus right now, which is what we want. We're going to keep an eye on that. We're probably going to do this first test like 2 or 3 times. And just to speed this up, actually, I'm going to buy another building here. Let's build a farmhouse. I'm just going to have to run as far to sleep. So we will just plop one of these bad boys down. Right there will be just fine. Okay. So got a little farmhouse. Not the most level thing in the world, but it'll do its job. Okay, this is just for sleeping. So we're going to sleep twice. It's got to be twice every single time, because 3 times it grows a little more, I think. I'm not actually positive about that. I know it's not worth sleeping 3 times. I can't remember if it grows more or if it doesn't, but either way, we're not going to risk it. We're just going to do this the 3 times, or we're going to sleep twice, and then we're going to cut. So we'll see how this goes. So that's 2 sleeps. We can then mow the grass. I actually might be wrong about that on the first cut. It actually might take longer. So I think we're going to sleep. We'll sleep 3 times. We'll cut it. We'll pull that grass off. We'll sleep 2 times, and then we're going to measure that one. I think that's going to be our best bet for an accurate grass amount, because we need to get that variable as isolated as we can. So that's going to be the key. If this first number's off, the whole experiment's going to be off. So we got to make sure that's right. Okay, so this grass is ready to go here. So yeah, we're gonna mow this, and this is just our this isn't our variable yet, guys. This is just our control experiment still, but we're just gonna clean up this grass real quick. It bugs me that this thing doesn't go down right away. Anyways, and then we'll pick all this up. Shouldn't take us too long. This first cut, like I said, this is just kind of cleaning the slate. I don't intend on this actually being our results. Should be just fast enough to go up and down and sleep, which is what we're going to want. This first one's going to take a little bit of time, but we're gonna windrow this up. Just drop that trailer. Won't need the planter again. We'll grab this windrow, put it in a nice little row for us to pick up. We're going to see how much we have. We're going to dump it to the side. So this first one I think is going to be a little wonky, but that's fine. We'll get it figured out. Okay, so let's turn that on. Lower the merger. Rake it in a line here. And we're not going to windrow at all during the experiment. It's just on this first one so we can pick it up easier. So we'll do like 2 or 3 of this first initial harvest just to make sure we have a consistent number to start. But other than that, it should go pretty quick. So we'll see exactly how many liters we get from this first initial one. And then if it's the same on the next one, we're done with the first 2 experiments. If it's different, we're going to have to do another harvest. And then we can actually get into it. We have 5,116 liters. Okay, so that's our control for the first time. I'm going to dump this off to the side just so we don't skew our results, and we're going to sleep and do that again, and then that'll get our base number. Okay, now we sleep twice. Okay, we slept twice, so now we can mow again. Nothing too crazy with the mowing. Just got to make sure we keep it or get it all. Okay. Then we'll rake again and see how much is here. Hopefully it's the same as last time. We will confirm how many cuts you need in the process. So this is actually a good experiment for that. Okay, so that's done. Let's get this guy out of the way. We're not going to need him for a while, hopefully. And we will pick up with this thing. Gotta make sure we don't miss any. Like I said, that's going to really throw our numbers off. Cannot miss any little drop during this stage. Ooh, it's going to be close. I think we're actually going to be right on the money. Okay, so we did get more out of that harvest than the last one. By a decent bit, actually. So we're at 5892 this time. Looks like we're going to have to do it again and see what happens. We have cut. Let's sleep twice. Okay, slept twice. Let's do another cut here. Okay, now let's pick it up. As long as we get a good average here, we should be able to use it to math our way into figuring out how many harvests it is, right? Because if it's only off by a couple hundred, we're in good shape. If it's off by like 1,000, you know, after 5 harvests, we're going to be overestimating. But if we can just get a decent average here, we'll have enough information that we can actually start testing stuff. Okay, 58886. That's dang near identical to the last one, so we're going to go with that. So the first time was 5116. We're not going to count that one because that was the first one. Who knows what was going on with that. The second one, we had 5892. This one, we had 5886. Difference of like 6 liters. Totally within our margin of error. That's going to be it's going to matter. So we're good to go on that. So that's going to be the number we're going to be using for our math and at the end of the video to figure out how many we can actually do here. So that's pretty cool. Now we just got to basically sleep and cut, and we'll see how many we can do. I would imagine at some point it's going to get very difficult to actually drive too. So that's kind of going to be the first step, I'm guessing, of, hey, we can technically keep going, but like we can't move. So what's the point? But we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna see. And I think if I can get like 15, I don't know if we're gonna do 15. We're gonna see how long it takes me to do that. But if I can do like 15 cuts and we're not there, I'm just gonna assume it's infinite. Because in practicality, I don't think you're doing more than 15 cuts before you're harvesting, because you're not gonna be able to move. You're not. It's gonna be much sooner than that. I would guess, as far as how much can you put on the ground before you can't drive anymore. You know, that's gonna hit. I think that limit's gonna hit first. But we're gonna see. That's the whole point of science. So now we cut. So the reason why I did it this wide is because we have to go up and back anyways. Otherwise we have to run. So figured I might as well do a field this big. And I think you're going to get a little better science with a little bigger field, just because, you know, if it's rounding by a little bit, the bigger the number. If it's off by 10, you know, if we only have 100 liters, off by 10 is a lot. If you're off by 100,000 liters, you're off by 10, that's nothing, right? So that's kind of my idea with that. So that's one cut. Okay, so I'm gonna keep tally of this so I don't forget. We're at 1. Okay, this is cut 2. I don't believe rain will affect it. However, I'm not gonna risk it, so we're going to speed up through the rain here. Okay, rain's over. This is still the second cut. So as you guys can see, it's starting to pile up a little bit. Still driving good. 2 cuts, totally reasonable. I've done this many times. I know this works. So that's 2 cuts down. Okay, yeah, see in the middle. So the problem is this front row here, that's not gonna, that one doesn't spread it out. It like automatically windrows. So that's gonna be, I think, our holdup, is that front row is gonna get too tall. But we're gonna see what that point is, where it's like, all right, I can't really drive anymore. Let's just clean this up real quick. Okay, that's 2 sleeps. Let's cut again. And it's raining again. It's rain, man. Okay, rain's over. Let's get this a third cut done. Yeah, see, it's already starting to struggle a little bit driving through. Little bit. Still going. I mean, I'm only going 8 miles an hour, but the front is getting a little iffy. I'm going to assume that it's still growing our pot here. I'm going to try and maybe drive through this a little differently next time. Maybe I can spread out this grass a little better. I don't know. We'll see if I can. We'll start on the left side on this next one. See if that helps. But so that's 3. Quick little intermission here, guys. If you guys are appreciating the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. What experiment do you want me to do next? What are you guys curious about? How do I break the game? That sort of thing. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you guys are interested, don't forget, I do have channel memberships. You'll get early releases on videos. As soon as I record them, I just upload them straight to that. So you might get it a couple days in advance, might be a week in advance, kind of depends. I greatly appreciate it. So it's only a couple bucks. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll get back to the video here. Okay, like I said, we're going to start on the left side, or the right side, see if it helps. This is cut number 4. It's getting a little tougher to drive, obviously. That big row in the middle is going to be a booger. It's gonna keep getting worse. But we're going to try and assume that you can do what I'm doing and kind of stagger it a little bit, because I want to see, really want to see how much we can do here. It is still growing the pot, though. I'm sure it is. We're driving pretty good now. You just can't go directly where you did the first time, I think, and you'll be fine. So that's number 4. Oop, don't want to do that. All right, so now we are not. This is cut number 5 now. Still able to drive. I'm assuming it's still adding to the stack. It's getting a little tougher to drive, so we're definitely growing our pile here at 5. This is the 5th one here. So I don't know at what point the previous grass will despawn, if ever, but we're going to find it. We are going to find it. The good news is they fixed the bouncing of the mowers, so at least I know I'm not missing grass from that. If I am missing grass, it's very possible I'm still missing grass, though, from it bouncing. I don't think it's going to throw our numbers off enough where it matters, though, thankfully. But something to keep in mind. Okay, this is cut number 6. Still driving pretty good. So that was 6. We're on to 7. Okay, so this is number 7. I think we're going to do 10 cuts and then harvest it. If you can do 10 cuts, I'm going to make the assumption that the limit is endless, assuming you don't hit the limit for the game. So, like, I don't think doing this 10 times would be any different than, say, having a field as big as the map and then doing it once. You know, that's going to produce more liters than doing this 20 times. So I think that limit would happen either way. But the bigger question is, we're going to be able to drive when we get to 10. So we'll finish this one here, and I'll probably just speed up unless something notable happens, and we'll get up to that 10 number and it's kind of reassess. Probably windrow at that point and check our progress. This is cut 8. Cut number 9. Okay, guys, we are on cut number 10. This is going to be the last cut we do here, so we're going to talk through it. I think the issue is going to be, I don't feel any difference between this cut and the last couple as far as driving ability. So I think the holdup is going to be when we rake it, is it going to be too high of a stack? I don't think that there is a limit, honestly. I think the limit is, like I said, I think it's just based on the game. So maybe you can have, 400,000 liters on the ground at any given point, but that limit's pretty high. We're gonna find out pretty quick here if that limit of which you can have on cut grass is there. But as far as the uncut stack, I mean, it's no different than that pile over there, right? It's just grass on the ground. It's just spread out. So I think that's how the game's coded. But anyways, we're going to find out here. This is going to be really interesting, this windrowing here. We're going to see if we can even do it. I'm actually curious to see if this even works. And then the forge wagon itself is going to be even trickier. And oh man, I'm halfway tempted to, we're going to, yeah, I kind of want to bail it almost just to see, make sure that's on. I kind of want to bail it just to see how far we get when we bail. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a stack. Is it a 10 stack? I don't know. It doesn't look 10 times as much as the first one. It might be. It might be. So I don't know here. It's gonna be close. I don't think we're gonna be able to drive over that, though. It's gonna be the bigger issue. How are we gonna pull a forge wagon over that? We're gonna find out here. Actually, let's move this guy out of the way. Make sure I dump all the grass. Okay, this thing's empty. This thing's fresh. It's clean. We're ready to go. All right, moment of truth. Suppose I just turn it on first, right? It's picking it up. I think I'm gonna have to wind rake again. Make sure I get it all. So I'm missing some off the edges. I don't think I'm wide enough. I'll be able to tell off quick math here if we're going to be close. If we're not going to be close, then if it looks like it's going to be close, I'm not going to bother finishing it. I'll just assume that it was all there. Because right, so it should be at about 50,000. We did 10, so it should be at roughly 50,800 liters. So we should for sure fill this trailer. And it looks like it's all there, right? Because we got some on the ground still, and we're going to hit 50. Yeah, we're at 49. It's all there, guys. All of the grass is there. So that's pretty cool. This thing is absolutely plumb full. It's glitched out and not showing, but it is full. And now, I think now what we want to do here, this is going to be fun. We're going to get a baler, and we're going to see how far I get before I have to dump a bale. So let's do that. Let's buy ourselves a baler here. Just for fun. I'm just curious. We'll get a square bale. We'll get one of these modded ones with the big front end on here, the windrow. Just so we have to do it once. This will work. This is going to be funny. I'm just real curious to see how this works. How far are we going to get before this this baler is full? I bet you it's like barely anywhere. I bet it's going to be like a meter and this thing's going to be full. Let's unfold this guy from out here because it takes a while. Yeah, look at that pile. This is going to be good. So how far are we going to go baling this before it just packs it? Oh, not as much as I thought. I mean, we got a whole chunk there. So, okay, so myth confirmed. You can just go over it as many times as you want. That is my first conclusion. My second conclusion is it's actually not that hard to pick up if you stack it 10 times tall, so why wouldn't you? So if you guys are into grass and silage, you guys can just mow and mow and mow and mow and harvest one time. That seems to be the ticket. Especially if you got a baler like this one, you can really get creative with it and get real efficient. So highly, highly recommend that system. It's a good time. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. What should we do next? What should we do to try and break the game? I'm curious what you guys say. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and peace out.